The traditional approach to work is based in classical management thought, where there's a leader or a manager who's really controlling the tasks and delegating them and managing how they're completed. In our traditional view of work, we expect a manager to do the following four things. First is to plan ahead. So maybe not so far down the line, but they need to know what the objectives are for next week or for next quarter. Second, they need to select and organize people. This means they need to identify the people that they need in order to organize and put together a team that can actually accomplish these goals. Third, they also need to command and drive employees. This is really about checking in and making sure that you're fulfilling the objectives. Working your way down that checklist to make sure that we're fulfilling all of the requirements expected by the organization. Fourth, and finally, we also need somebody in this traditional approach to work to coordinate all of these different activities. So we really need somebody at the top who has that perspective and can give an overview then of all the different people and different tasks and actually make sure that they're being accomplished. So now when we think about this traditional approach to work, there's actually a very rich history behind it. The study of management and leadership has really started in the last 120 years or so. At the turn of the century, alongside industrialization, there was a concentrated effort to research this traditional view of management. One of the pioneers of management science was Frederick Taylor. Now, I always liked this story because he applied the principles of the scientific process to management. I've actually read the original book from the early 1900s, and he really described there how to take a systematic, step-by-step approach to analyzing workflows in order to optimize the delegation of work. The idea being that there was one right way of doing everything. So, in true engineering fashion, he tried to find out what that one right way was. One of the best examples from his classical book was talking about the placement of workers' hands on a shovel. He observed and studied workers at the railroad and observed how they were shoveling iron ore and how fast they were able to shovel, among other things, other aspects of the process. And from his observations, he was able to determine the best placement for the hands on the shovel. As a result of this optimization, workers were actually able to take proper breaks and still increase the overall productivity. This was revolutionary for these times. Now, since then, a lot has happened. The pandemic has launched us into a new way of working and made the digital age a reality for most workers, especially knowledge workers. But before then, there was already a shift away from this in management or the traditional approach of work in many fields where managers' roles were expanded then to become more about leadership. Now, what do I mean by that? If we say managers or management is more concerned with organizing and delegating tasks, then leaders are more concerned with the task and the personal and relational aspects of leading. That means in new work, we expect our leaders to be able to answer three questions. First is, where are we going? Second is, why are we going there? Third is, how are we going to get there? So in the age of new work, we expect our leaders to be answering these questions, these bigger questions, and painting the world for their employees so they can give color to their understanding of what it is that they're doing at work and what it is actually accomplishing in this bigger picture. So, for example, taking this first question, where are we going? This is actually painting an image and providing a roadmap. Essentially, we expect our leaders to not only point in the right direction, but also provide a vision. The vision can include milestones and tasks, but also values. We expect our leaders to anticipate any changes because they have this long-sighted vision, and they're defining it and articulating it, and that's part of their main role in my life as an employee. Secondly, we want to be able to define why it is that we are working towards these things. So this means leaders need to give meaning or help to make sense of a situation for individual employees. Why am I doing this task today? How is it connected to the overall vision of the organization? So again, this comes back to this idea of having a vision and anticipating change. Finally, how are we going to get there is beyond just the vision, beyond just the meaning, but also guiding their employees step by step through a changing environment. Here, communication is key. Leaders need to effectively communicate with employees and to be really clear and concise and precise. Being charismatic is a bonus, but that's only if your message is actually understood by employees. In other words, leaders in the new way of working are responsible for keeping an eye on and explaining where their team is going, why they are going there, and provide a clear path to get there in order to keep their employees engaged and motivated.